It began with a scream, a profound sense of panic, a call from the shelter yard that reached two individuals assisting in one of those had observed. A swift streak of black and tan fur zipped by. The chain-link fencing, ears back, eyes, broad jaws frothing. Another kennel possessed. Another cage has been bent and destroyed, pulled back by sheer strength, and in the focal point once more that familiar dog Max, the creature that kept everyone at a distance. The authority had summoned him 2 weeks ago. Previously discovered meandering solo on the periphery of a charred estate with ash lingering on his coat and the chain half melted, hung around his neck. He snarled at anyone who dared to approach, a bit like a mentor on the first day. Burst through a gate the second, and ever since, each team member at Heavenwood Shelter had received a caution due. He won't go into his kennel. He's quite unpredictable. Perilous, yet the gaze in Max's eyes. That morning it was neither wild nor calm. Even in her anger, it was shattered. Sophie, one of the new volunteers, remained motionless behind the gripping her clipboard as the team hurried to sedate him with the dart, struck his side, and Max stumbled, breathless, intensely before ultimately succumbing to the corner. His body still quivered for a long time. Once his eyes closed, it marked the fourth. They needed to sedate him within a span of 10 days. Within the staff room, voices escalated in. It's disappointing that he can't be adopted. Continue to sedate him in this manner. We have made attempts. All things aside, Sophie remained unstoppable, gazing at how Max had surveyed the surroundings before he fell, as if he were on a quest for something or someone. That evening, when all had Sophie returned home, she stood there, just seated outside Max's enclosure, sitting cross-legged on the floor in silence, not moving. The sedative had worn off. He observed her from the darkness, senses heightened. A low growl began to form in his throat, yet without hesitation, she just cracked open a peanut. The jar of butter was set down close to the bars and moved it just near enough for him to extend, and then she murmured, "I don't believe you're unkind. I believe you're afraid." The following morning, as the staff arrived, they discovered the jar thoroughly cleaned, yet circumstances didn't transform instantly every time someone attempted to reach out to him, and Max reacted sharply. He ripped apart blankets and mangled toys, declined to consume anything unless the meal was abandoned, and the room emptied, yet something lingered. Whenever Sophie arrived, something peculiar unfolded. In serene stillness, never extending his hand, he didn't growl. He merely observed her throughout the day. Day after day, she immersed herself in the pages of books, softly humming small melodies as he inched nearer to catch a whiff of her footwear. Then one morning, everything changed for Sophie. Gifted her daughter Lily a gentle voice, a young girl, just 7 years old, with delightful curly hair, and her tiny frame belied a heart far bigger. Sophie wanted to help, she explained with some hesitation, fearful of reprimand, and yet prior anyone had the ability to protest. As Lily approached Max's kennel, huddled low, and murmured, "Hi, I once had a dog similar to you." He was hurt too, but he recovered. Every staff the members held their breath as Max advanced. He moved forward slowly and cautiously, his head held high, her gaze fixed on the small child, remained still, and simply reached into her pocket and retrieved a tiny, wrinkled sketch, a young artist's drawing of a dog adorned with a heart. She deftly maneuvered it beneath the bars. "This is for you." Max fixed his gaze intently. He twitched and then settled down. Right there's a serene stillness for the first time ever since his arrival. He took the time to rest and reflect. It was the instant when all understanding dawned. An extraordinary journey was unfolding. The drawing remained in his kennel, untouched by anyone dared to touch it, not even the janitor. While going through the cleaning rounds, it happened that crumpled small sheet of paper intended each morning a little something for Max. When the staff arrived, he would be found lying next to. Its nose barely grazes the paper, as if protecting it as though it were the sole evidence. He felt a sense of solitude that Sophie did not comprehend it, nor did the trainers, the shelter supervisor, or the veterinarian technicians, yet they all witnessed it firsthand. Gaze, a metamorphosis that challenged reason. a small girl accomplished in just 5 minutes what skilled experts were unable to achieve. In the weeks that followed, Max refrained from lunging when Lily was present. As I passed, he remained silent, neither growling nor snapping. He paid attention, and when she addressed him, that brutal conflict forged a resilient German shepherd's ears stood alert like a. The news of the puppy traveled quickly within a week. Lily returned once more, and this time she brought a gentle pink fluffy canine plaything. It was somewhat. She chose to wear her favorite one, despite the insistence. Max required it more, while Sophie lingered in uncertainty. Darling, he could ruin it, she cautioned softly, but Lily simply smiled and remarked, that's fine. He can chew on it all he wants. Desires it to improve his well-being, Sophie. Slightly ajar, the kennel gate allowed for. They threw the toy into the air, and all eyes were on it as it soared. Max tensed as he approached with careful steps, sniffed the toy and then remained silent, lifted it and transported it to the. In the corner, he didn't rip it apart. He simply lay there, next to it as if it were the most treasured. The one thing in the world that his eyes failed to convey. No longer rage, just a lingering sense of haunting, melancholy, and faith, yet solely for her. Before long, Lily gained access to the enclosure. With meticulous oversight, it began. After 5 minutes, then 10, she started grooming his coat with deliberate precision. Strokes. Max remained unfazed. He shut his gaze, resting gently against her palm as if he lost the memory of what kindness truly felt like. Sophie made an attempt, holding onto the hope of trust. It was offered to her as well, but Max let out a low growl, once more deep and throaty, lacking in ferocity, yet sufficient to push her away. Was evident to all at the shelter. Max had made his choice with his heart. Whatever remained of it was Lily's. During that same week, the director of the shelter got a call, and it was from the original. The owner is registered on Max's microchip, an elderly gentleman known as Mr. Carter who resided 3 towns away. He asserted that Max had been taken a year ago following a burglary. Stated he spent months searching and filed a police report. Reports published flyers, yet ultimately abandoned all optimism. The blaze, the link, all of it clicked into place now. Max had experienced trauma. I have served as a steadfast companion in the past. His world crumbled as the director requested Mr. Carter to come in as they required, to check if Max recalled him from the meeting. Was scheduled for Friday, but as Friday came close to something that felt off correctly with Sophie, she was unable to find rest. The night before, neither could Lily ponder. What if he isn't interested in going? Lily inquired, gently holding her blanket. Sophie. She lacked an answer. All she could do was hope for Max. Might be. Finally, Friday arrived, and Mr. Holbrook made his entrance. With a walking stick and a worn-out picture of the younger Max sat beside him on the porch. His voice trembled as he spoke, regarding the connection they forged during the evenings. Max accompanied him in a manner unlike any other, only raised its voice when it truly counted. Yet, what transpired next astonished everyone. Overwhelmed when Max witnessed the man approach through the shelter gates, something in his ears perked up, not in do not be afraid and caution, merely aware. He remained, gently soft toy resting in his mouth, and gazed intently through the wire fence. Mr. Carter's hand quivered around he grasped the cane firmly in his other hand, struggling to hold him up as he inched nearer. The staff became quiet, and even Lily paused in her actions. With a deep breath, Mr. Carter knelt slowly, letting out a groan. As time passed, I set the photograph on the ground close to the enclosure. Do you recall this boy? He whispered gently. You once rested right here next to me. For 8 consecutive years, Max took one each night. He took a step forward, then another, but he didn't. The growl resonated. No bark escaped as his gaze remained locked on the man's expression, attempting to bridge the points probing through the lingering haze, obscured his recollection as he inhaled the atmosphere, then bowed his head, nearly grazing. The earth lay before all, a canvas of uncertainty. In which direction this might unexpectedly shift? Max emitted a soft, bewildered sound akin to something hidden had only just started to On the surface, he let go of the toy he had taken. One step followed by another. His paws moved cautiously ahead until he was focused intently on Mr. Carter, and then he proceeded. In a surprising turn of events, Max took a seat. Composed yet hesitant, Mr. Carter's gaze, glassy now, extended his hand into his coat and extracted a worn leather collar. His fingers glided over the name. The brass plate, engraved with Max's name, was held firmly in his grasp. It's time for the dog to witness how he transformed my existence. Once recall the evening I stumbled in the yard. You howled until the neighbor took notice. I reached out for assistance, and that moment has stayed with me ever since. Max let out a louder whimper this time. Mia cast a fleeting look at Lily, whose delicate features were scrunched in concern. Does he remember? She murmured. He's attempting to, Mia remarked. Observing intently, Max walked back and forth. There's something about this man that pulls me in. Got to him, yet it felt different then. The warmth he displayed towards Lily with her. He appeared to be softened with Carter, careful like a warrior attempting to recall the conflict from which he emerged, and rest his form nearby, yet gaze, still focused on the elderly gentleman. Mr. Carter extended my hand cautiously and set the collar down on the floor. You can come home if you want to, boy, he said, softly, but only when you feel prepared. Quiet enveloped the shelter, and then Max rose and averted my gaze from the collar and strolled to the distant corner of the kennel. He picked up Lily's drawing and set it down. It softly nestled next to the plush toy. Curled up beside them, he laid his head down. With a deep exhale, Mr. Holbrook did not. He simply nodded slowly. I guess you've already discovered your new abode. The shelter staff was taken aback. They had anticipated a heartwarming gathering, yet what they received was something greater. Sophie approached the old man with a sense of complexity in the air, and placed a hand on his shoulder, a gesture of affection. You, sir, but this young girl, she has healed. There was an essence within him that eluded our understanding. Mr. Carter offered a gentle smile. Then she is worthy of him, and he is worthy of being where he feels secure in the open air, while Lily stands there, holding on. The kennel door stood ajar, patiently awaiting a gentle push. When Max finally got back up and trotted, his tail hung low, yet he remained calm. He didn't seem to notice, returning to the individual who previously referred to him as his. Instead, he made his way directly to Lily, and settled next to her, resting his head. Silence enveloped her hand, and not a single word was spoken. In that silence, the message resonated unmistakably. Wasn't merely about a missing dog or the forgotten proprietor. It revolved around restoration, concerning trust renewed in the softest of methods and the strength of relationships that requires no restraint or attachment. The spread of Max's transformation commenced. Outside the shelter, curiosity filled the air. How could a dog once deemed to "It is perilous to manage at this moment. Please remain still," next to a small girl softly encouraging her shoelaces and tracking her every move? Like a guardian presence, visitors arrived, with wary eyes anticipating an extraordinary event or an error. Yet what they witnessed was a completely different experience altogether. Real Lily and Max became inseparable. She would come by every afternoon following school. The backpack jostling on her shoulders was already calling his name before she. Upon arriving at the gate, Max would become alert, her voice preceding all others. Saw her approaching, and as she emerged, the formidable former K9 with a fierce, the past would gently transform into something nearly. Sophie observed it, her friend now unrecognizable. Everything revealed itself with a serene wonder. There existed a cadence to their connection that was unnecessary. Lily didn't request any tricks or sought affection. She simply remained close. His soft humming accompanied her as she colored at times, arranging the sketches with his paws in a different manner. Moments when she would share tales of her father who toiled at a distance regarding how her. She felt a pang of longing for him, yet a smile graced her lips regardless. The educators who failed to grasp the reasons. She remained mostly silent during class while Max, attuned, truly attuned, his head inclined, At precisely the right moments, his gaze remained unwavering, wandering away from her visage one day. As Lily's hands shook in her attempt to access her snack, Max utilized his nose to gently push the wrapper free. It wasn't the technique he had learned. He understood it instinctively. It was a Saturday when the turning point arrived. Overcast skies loom heavily above the town, and the shelter was strikingly silent. Lily didn't arrive the previous day, and Sophie presumed she was merely spending time with her mother. By noon, Max found himself restless, pacing back and forth. The kennel whined at the door, even pawing by the window. It was unlike him. An unsettling feeling lingered when the phone suddenly rang. It was Lily's mother, her voice strained. In a state of panic, Lily had not returned home from the library she had ventured to all by herself. It was just a short distance away, yet I never reached it. The police had already been informed. Sophie froze, her gaze darting to Max, who had now, motionless, with ears perked and eyes wide, captured in that moment something unsaid darted between them. Max raced toward Sophie, approached the kennel gate without a moment's pause, defying all norms and regulations she had. Once it was enforced, she seized his leash, attached it, and murmured, "Let's discover." She ran with determination as Max pulled ahead, driven by intent, his nose to the breeze, following a scent only he could perceive. Sophie's struggle to maintain pace as he navigated through the alleys and through narrow lanes, his stride unwavering. Individuals shifted their gaze as the sizable German shepherd raced by, eyes ablaze with resolve. A few blocks from the refuge tucked away at the rear of a vintage, Max abruptly halted at the bookstore. He let out a piercing bark and clawed at a slender entrance opening into a tight. Sophie gently pushed it open, and there she was, curled up beneath the lily shattered overhang, grasping her knees and trembling. Her lip was split, her glasses askew, absent, and her eyes swollen with sorrow, but she was breathing. Max didn't bark. He approached, settled next to her, and softly rested his head on her shoulder. Lily pressed her face into his fur and wept. Sophie sank to her knees, tears brimming in her eyes. In her own perception, she didn't inquire about what had occurred. She simply embraced, surrounded them, and clung tightly. Remained in that place until the sirens arrived, until Lily's mother hurried over, until the authorities inquired and local residents responded. Glanced through their curtains, yet none of that held significance. In that instant, what held significance was Max. He had discovered her, he had selected her, and now everyone recognized he was more than just a dog with a second chance. He was a hero, yet Max didn't depart from Lily's company for the remainder of an evening at the hospital as physicians tenderly tended to her scraped knees and inspected her bruises. Max rested just beyond the room, stood still, as if protecting a fragment of his own heart, murmured secrets among the whispers. Astonished by his calmness and concentration, stood steadfast like a guardian on watch. The moment someone approached too near to Lily, let out a soft whimper as his ears twitched, and his eyes would follow. He didn't sleep. He refrained from eating as he waited for Lily. Finally released, enveloped in a gentle, Max, wearing a hoodie, held her mother's hand, stood and approached her gradually, extended her delicate fingers grasping the fur on his neck, and without uttering she buried her face into him as he leaned into her softly, being mindful not to cause her any pain. It was the sort of embrace that required no words. Whispers of an unspoken vow. The tale unfolded, spread rapidly through the quaint little town. The following morning, it was featured in the newspapers. Determined rescue dog locates missing. Local radio, online blogs, and the girl. The evening broadcast featured segments focused on Max, the previously dreaded German shepherd who revealed itself as the silent protector no one anticipated. Individuals who had previously strolled by the shelter without a glance were now bringing along some flowers and treats, grateful acknowledgments to those who reached out. Meet Max, as the children held tightly to their parents, gazed into his eyes with there was admiration, yet Max appeared oblivious. The recognition his gaze continued to seek. Lily every morning, and upon her return, they mellowed with that same intense. Rachel, Lily's mother, had once shown unwavering loyalty, paused before approaching the kennel of the dog, where she would frequently find herself crouching next to him, gently gliding her fingers through his dense coat. She had witnessed what many. Wasn't it remarkable how this dog had sensed something no one else could understand, how he had acted quicker than any grown-up, and how he'd persisted in holding on to a girl who had once have been merely another guest at a shelter. 1 week following the incident at the shelter, the team convened for a special meeting. Sophie, her eyes glistening with unshed tears, stood at the front with a quivering sheet in her grasp. "Max has imparted a valuable lesson to us all," she whispered gently. "He reminded us that no spirit is beyond redemption, and at times it's the ones who are fractured often mend us in the deepest ways." She gazed. Lily and her mother sat side by side in the front row. "We've witnessed a remarkable transformation." Offers from all over continued to pour in, but Sophie remained focused. "There's a singular place where Max truly fits." She approached Lily and knelt down beside her. "If you'll have him," she said. "Max belongs to you," Lily gasped, then turned her gaze towards her mother, already in agreement. Amidst silent tears, and in that instant, it was accomplished. Max had discovered his sanctuary within a confinement, not in a title but in the essence of a young girl who longed someone who has faith in her equally as he had required it himself. Life after that was more subdued, as Max found his place in the daily life of a family dog. Even though he was never mundane, he rested next to Lily's. Each night, he would sometimes find solace in resting his. She stirred awake, her head resting on her feet. He greeted her at the school with a sense of excitement. The gate stood still as she immersed herself in her books. In the garden, she spoke softly and gave her a gentle push. Softly, as she noticed the sadness in her eyes, Lily started to. She spoke louder, raising her voice, urging him to smile more. She raised her hand in class and offered to. Her teachers observed, her companions observed, yet it wasn't the transformation they observed. The dog next to her, unwavering, like a stone, unwavering and unyielding. On a solitary spring afternoon, the mayor invited Lily and Max to an intimate ceremony. In the park, a crowd of dozens assembled, applauding as Max received a golden tag shaped like a heart. It read, "To the dog who saved a young one and revealed to us the essence of devotion." Yet for Lily, it was unnecessary. The medal represented the ways he had already rescued her. As time slipped by unnoticed, Lily blossomed and matured. As she stood taller, her voice resonated with newfound strength, and Max, now aged and more deliberate, continued to pursue her all around, even if it required taking more time to relax. Frequently throughout the journey on that day, Lily, upon graduating from high school, she donned a blue dress, holding a small photo in her hand, held a photograph of her and Max captured the day they would formally transition into a family. He was unable to ascend the stage no longer, yet from the front row he gestured her tail as she received her diploma. The applause resonated, yet it was her gaze that captivated. Gazing at him with a smile, even as tears streamed down, expressed it all. When Max's moment finally arrived years later, it was serene, and serenely he rested on his beloved rug by the window, observing the sun's gentle filtering via a young woman named Lily sat beside the trees, him gently stroking her head. Gentle murmurs flowed softly and were abundant. "You saved me, Max," she said, her voice filled with warmth, "and I will always remember that day. The world has lost a beloved dog, but Lily, she maintained his spirit in every life she influenced." She continued to assist rescue dogs in aiding others, similar to Max, discover places of comfort and restoration. At times, as the breeze whispered softly amidst the trees, she believed she can still hear the gentle thud of a tail wagging behind her. As affection does, that genuine intensity and unwavering loyalty never truly disappears, yet it continues to exist in every. It touches the heart. Ultimately, Max's journey serves as a poignant reminder that love and trust possess the ability to mend even the most profound scars. The ability to show compassion, be it towards an animal or a human, holds the remarkable potential to change lives for the better. Max's connection with Lily revealed that even those who are deeply wounded can impart invaluable lessons on loyalty, patience, and the resilience of the human spirit. May this tale encourage you to share compassion, to see deeper than appearances, and to extend a hand to those who require support. If you have faith in the transformative nature of love and healing, please share this story. Leave a like, comment with a 1 to help spread the message, and remember to subscribe for more uplifting narratives like Max's. Let's nurture the essence of compassion,